So let's bring in now Republican West Virginia Attorney General John McCuskey, J.B. McCuskey, that is. He led an amicus brief with the Supreme Court in support of limiting these nationwide injunctions. Welcome to you. Good to have you on this show. You urged the Supreme Court to do exactly what they did today. This is going to have massive implications, really, all across the country. Talk about how you made the case to the court and what does this mean?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we should be talking about here is that it's really sad that the Supreme Court even had to decide this. The district courts knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew that they didn't have the power to do these things. And the other thing that's sad is, and I think the reason why you see such a full-throated back and forth between the majority and the non-majority is that I think the majority knows that if this was a conservative case, right, if we had had a conservative judge who issued a nationwide injunction, this would have been a 9-0 case. And that's sad. But it's so obvious that district court judges only have the authority to rule on issues that involve the people that are before them. And nationwide injunctions go so far afield of that they really endanger, in my opinion, the very public perception of the court. Our courts are supposed to be above the political fray, and these nationwide injunctions put our district courts in the exact same place as Congress, and that is not a healthy thing for our democracy. And I'm just really happy that the Supreme Court has found some semblance of normalcy here, and we're returning our federal courts back to their constitutional roles, which is the district courts issue opinions for the parties in front of them.
So, JB, there are a number of other injunctions underway right now, I believe about 40 against the Trump administration. What now happens to all of those?
So all of those will head back to the district court, and they will issue rulings based on the parties that are in front of them. And their rulings cannot go beyond the scope of where their courthouse grasp ends. And so what will happen is then the normal course of action. We will have a case in the district court. If there are circuits that disagree, then there will be multiple cases in our circuit courts, and then the Supreme Court will get to make decisions based on legal issues where the courts around the country are disagreeing. That gives the Supreme Court so much more information and ability to issue good rulings when they're not having to be hurried as they were today.
So the dissent here, no surprise, very, very fiery language coming from Justice Sotomayor. We just heard a little bit of that from Shannon's report, but the left is also dissenting here. This is a legal expert, a legal correspondent on MSNBC Today reacting to the ruling. Let's listen to this.
What you have is a majority sort of acting like Congress here, abdicating its role as a co-equal branch, and instead, as one lawyer put it to me in a text, acting like a robed bystander to the serious deprivation of what we've long assumed for 128 years is a fundamental constitutional right.
Yeah, and then Justice Sotomayor basically said this was making a solemn mockery of our Constitution. How would you react to all of that?
That is unbelievably incorrect. It is kind of humorous to listen to somebody talk about how our constitutional republic is going to fall because the Supreme Court returned our district courts back to their constitutional role. We have a set of rules that our founders put together, and district courts simply cannot issue nationwide injunctions. And this is not a partisan problem in my mind. This is something that needed to be ceased. We've seen an uptick to the tune of over 90% of all of the nationwide injunctions have been issued in the last 15 years, 90%. And so what we're seeing now is the Supreme Court taking back the reins and saying, we get to make the decisions for the entire country, which is what the framers intended.
You were part of this religious liberty case as well, which was another big win for the Trump administration and for parents all across the country that want more control over what their kids learn at school. How far-reaching is this one, and what did you make of this?
Yeah, this is a huge case, too. And we filed this with my friend Jason Mears in Virginia, who's a wonderful colleague in the Republican Attorney General's Association with me. And this case just gets back to the idea that parents have to be able to parent their children. The government is not your child's parent. You are. And you get to decide what are the messages that your children are going to be receiving in their public schools. It's simple. It's common sense. And I think what we're seeing throughout the Trump administration and these huge wins today is this return to this idea of common sense, right? Parents should have control over what their children are seeing in school. And that just makes sense.
Okay, Attorney General McCuskey from West Virginia, thanks for joining us. You had a big part of what
Aisha,
happened
thank
today.
you.
A big win for you, a big win for the Trump administration. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Up next, Fox News chief political